Mr. Wayne, you know, you really could be doing more for this city. Your family has a history of philanthropy, but as far as I can tell, you're not doing anything. If I'm elected, I want to change that. Thank you. My God. I'm gonna go pay my respects. Will you wait for me? I want to continue this.
Excuse me, Chief. Can I talk to you? Gil Coulson is missing.
What?
Hasn't been heard from since last night.
Christ, not again.
Hey, Mr. Wayne.
You got people looking for him, Jim?
Sent a couple guys to his house. Nothing.
What did his wife say?
She hadn't heard from him. Get out of the car! Get out of the car and show your hands! Get out! Get him up! Get out, show him! Christ, it's Coulson.
There's a bomb around the set!
Let's clear this place out now! The Batman.
Welcome back, everyone. This will be my new Batman trailer video. They released a nice shiny HD quality version of this funeral scene. So there's a bunch of Easter eggs. We'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. We have to thank Matt Reeves for appreciating quality video. He put up this nice shiny HD version of this because you may have seen a potato quality version circulating last week as sort of like a YouTube pre-roll. You may have seen it as an ad. Either way, what's going on here is the woman talking to Bruce Wayne is named Bella Real, and she's the candidate for the new mayor because the funeral that they're at is for the old mayor that the Riddler literally just killed. She's having this conversation with Bruce Wayne about doing more philanthropy for the city because he hasn't been giving money the same way that his father Thomas Wayne did. She kind of jokes about his people, quote unquote, telling him that he's never available because he's spending all of his time as Batman. That also gets into the idea of where he's spending all of his money. Like he's not around to take your call because he's literally either asleep during the day for a couple hours or he's running around the city in the Batmobile beating up criminals. So all the money that he has, all his many, many billions of dollars are going right now to funding the Batman. Not that he thinks of that as philanthropy, but it kind of is philanthropy. Like he's trying to help the city with his money, just not in the way that everybody would expect him to. In different movies, different TV shows, different comics have had different ways of depicting the way Bruce Wayne spends all of his billions of dollars. And in most of the different iterations of Batman, even though he comes off being a little bit crazy, a little bit unhinged, and loose with the way that he spends money on Batman gear, armor, weapons, the like. He's actually a very shrewd business person, just in general. He leaves most of the day-to-day running of his empire to Lucius Fox in most versions of the character. So even though Christopher Nolan had that whole Dark Knight Rises twist where he ran the company to near bankruptcy funding the special reactor, and what happened with Bane trying to bankrupt him completely, you have to kind of take that as an Elseworlds non-canonical aspect of his mythology. Despite the Dark Knight trilogy being a really solid trilogy, the way they treated the Bruce Wayne Batman character during Dark Knight Rises was very divisive, especially the way they ended the movie. For the most part, the movies and the comics try not to dwell too much on how much money Batman has, because on a technical level, it's not super interesting. He's supposed to have unlimited money, effectively. It's more interesting to see what he spends his money on. But at this point in his career, Batman Year 2, Robert Pattinson actually said that the way he sees the character, Bruce Wayne, almost doesn't exist as a person. Like, he spends all of his time as Batman. He doesn't care about keeping up the Bruce Wayne persona for appearances or public social discourse. He's purely a nocturnal creature living in gutter-like conditions, like living in squalor almost. Robert Pattinson actually said he's essentially living in the gutter, but what he meant by that is he seems like he's living in the gutter, like he's spending all of his time in the new Batcave, which he creates inside the abandoned subway terminal built by his ancestors, the Wayne family. It's literally called the Wayne Terminus, and it seems like the entrance is through the graveyard, which is a very Batman thing to do. Drive through a graveyard every night just to get back to the Batcave. In Wayne Manor, his actual house, the actual mansion, doesn't really get used that much. Like, it exists. It seems like he's in the mansion here in this scene. But you can tell he hasn't really done anything with it since his parents died many years ago, and it's starting to seem kind of like a Grey Garden situation. Like, if you didn't know that he was Batman, you only knew him as Bruce Wayne, never seeing him out during the day, never really seeing him giving interviews, you'd think that he'd gone full Grey Gardens. So he's kind of living in filth and squalor at this point, not really taking care of himself. He doesn't really refine the Bruce Wayne billionaire playboy persona till much later in his career. The little boy that everyone's talking about in this scene is the mayor's son. There were a lot of you asking in a couple of my previous Batman videos if he was meant to be Dick Grayson or the new version of Robin, because there were rumors last year that Matt Reeves might introduce a version of Robin at some point in the new Batman trilogy. But this kid is not meant to be the new Robin. He is just the mayor's son. And the reason why Bella Real says, "Oh God, Jesus, WTF," when she sees him is because she's just concerned on his behalf. That the mayor left behind this little kid in the gruesome circumstances behind the mayor's death, the Riddler killing this little kid's father. And Bruce Wayne's reaction is him identifying with the little kid having a mini PTSD flashback to his parents being killed by Joe Chill in Crime Alley. He sees himself in this little kid. Even though this scene is from the Joker movie and it's not meant to be Robert Pattinson's Bruce Wayne, I'm just using the footage because it's the same basic concept. Crime Alley, Thomas Wayne, Martha Wayne, the Pearls. And that's why he saves the little kid when the Lincoln Navigator comes crashing in, like you can see him grab the kid. The scene is also meant to connect with the Riddler plot about the Gotham City orphanage and what happened to Riddler as a child. There's a big chartboard with all the different pieces of evidence connecting them as children. They haven't fully revealed everything in the trailers, but you can see that one of the reasons why he hates the Wayne family, Thomas Wayne, and is now targeting Bruce Wayne, they imply something terrible happened to him at the orphanage, and he blames Thomas Wayne for not doing something about it, or Thomas Wayne was funding the Gotham City orphanage, and maybe Thomas Wayne was somehow partially responsible for some tragedy that befell all these kids. So the scene is meant to be another metaphor for childhood trauma, linking Batman's childhood and Riddler's childhood. Then when Gordon is talking to the other police officers about Gil Coulson, he says his wife has been asking them where he's been because he's been missing for days, and they make it sound like this is a regular thing for him. Like, Gil Coulson is the current district attorney, played by Peter Sarsgaard. He said that his character is supposed to be a really bad guy. So it sounds like he goes on benders for days all the time and is somehow abusing his power inside the justice system, and that's why the Riddler targets him next. Because just as Gordon is getting on Gil Coulson's case with the other police officers, in crashes the Lincoln Navigator, and it's revealed the next victim is Gil Coulson himself. Like, Jesus, that's Gil Coulson. In a very Saw-like trap involving a riddle about justice. This is the Riddler up here on the balcony giving the clue. Most of you probably detected that a lot of the different Riddler traps where he's killing all these different powerful figures in Gotham is a lot like the traps in the Saw movie, where he traps people who got away with crimes in real life or did something terrible and got away with it. The difference in the Batman movie is that Batman has to solve the riddle to try and save the people, but as you can probably tell, in most cases, at least the early victims here all wind up dying. The reason why it seems like there are so many people still in the room, though, even though there's this giant bomb about to blow up, is because they're all meant to be part of the police department. It's not like a bunch of regular people are standing around a bomb. And they do clear the room out a little later. The other trailers actually show you what happens later in the scene with the bomb exploding in his face while he's wearing the Batman suit, so it sounds like the scene goes on for quite a bit longer after this, long enough for Bruce Wayne to rush out, suit up as Batman, then come back. How quickly can you change clothes without being detected? And speaking of Batman-related stuff, talking about the Joker, I did a Joker sequel movie video because there's talk about them doing a sequel to the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie. And even though this Batman franchise is not meant to connect with the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movies, there are a lot of theories that Barry Keoghan's mystery character in the movie is a version of the Joker. He's supposedly playing a character in Arkham Asylum that appears in a scene when Batman is visiting Riddler, and it's just a really short scene, but he's supposed to have this Joker-like hyena laugh, and that's it. So a lot of people are thinking that he might be Matt Reeves' version of the Joker, or maybe we'll see more of him in the Batman 2 or whatever they call the sequel. Some of the cuts of the movie supposedly have this Barry Keoghan Joker-like scene, and some of the cuts do not have it. So we'll see whether or not it makes it into the actual final theatrical cut. But I do think there will be some Easter eggs for Joker inside this first Batman movie, or at least some small references. If you spotted any Easter eggs in the trailer or the clip that I didn't talk about in the video, just write them below in the comments. And I will do more Joker videos if we get more news about what's happening with that character inside the DCEU in the future. Everyone click here for that Joker 2 movie announcement video, and click here for my new Halo TV series trailer. That's right, they're doing a full-blown Halo TV show. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.